This man isn't building a house. He's erasing himself from the face of the earth. 3 months ago, after being stalked to his front door, having his windows smashed and his tires slashed, he realized something. As long as he stays above ground, he'll never truly escape. So he chose to bury himself in the dirt and disappear completely from the outside. No nails, no concrete, just dirt, moss, and a hollowed-out log. Once the sod is laid on the roof, the whole place looks like nothing more than a pile of rotting wood. Even if someone stepped right on top of it, they'd have no idea a person was lying right beneath their feet. He's gone. But the question is, can he ever come back? In modern buildings, doors and windows are nothing but fatal flaws that give away your location. He's ditching thousands of years of human logic about living above ground and diving straight into the jungle floor. He's building the ultimate stealth shelter. 0 tracks, 0 exposure, 0 risk. The first life or death challenge he has to tackle is picking the perfect spot. He didn't just pick a random clearing. He locked onto a massive, uprooted ancient tree. Those thick, exposed roots act as a natural shield against wind and soil, bracing for any impact from the wild. The hollow beneath the trunk is the ultimate stealth starting point, erasing any sign of construction. The soil here has a perfect layered structure: topsoil, loam, and clay at the bottom. These 3 layers ensure the walls stay solid after digging, preventing any landslides or cave-ins. This is the geological siting method. It's as precise as a structural engineer picking a foundation. No rebar, no concrete. He's relying on natural structures to cut 90% of the construction risk. The moment he chose this spot, he already outsmarted 99% of survivalist builders. He digs the walls straight down vertical compression walls, the core design of any underground structure. Underground, lateral soil pressure is like countless hands trying to crush the whole from all sides. Vertical walls spread that pressure evenly, whereas sloped walls would concentrate it and cause an instant cave-in. Every shovel stroke has to be perfectly vertical. If he's off by even 4 inches, he could end up burying himself alive. Once the hole is ready, he's faced with a silent killer: moisture. Underground humidity is 3 times higher than on the surface. Sleeping directly on the dirt would let the cold and damp wreck his body. Without modern materials, he has to build an elevated log platform to block the dampness. This setup works like a raised, damp-proof course. In modern houses. It's like giving the cabin a pair of waterproof boots. He lays the logs parallel across the bottom, leaving an air gap underneath to vent moisture and trap heat. No nails, no glue, just the weight of the logs holding them in place. It's a perfect recreation of ancient pit-dwelling wisdom. He needs to build an entrance, a lifeline between life and death, using only wood. He cuts down some saplings to craft a wooden ladder using only mortise and tenon joints. This structure means the wood pieces interlock like Lego bricks, holding tight without a single metal fastener. With both friction and structural force on his side, it can hold twice a person's weight. This ladder is his only way back to the surface, his escape route in an emergency. Next, he has to build the skeleton of the shelter, a log ring beam support system. Each wall log is carved with saddle notches flattened on one side and grooved on the other. This interlocking design locks the wood in place so it won't shift or slide. When building, he follows the law of gravity layering. The heaviest logs go at the very bottom. The bottom layer takes the most pressure. The middle uses medium wood, and the top uses lightweight timber. He stuffs the gaps with moss and dry wood shavings. When the shavings get damp, they swell up like spray foam to seal everything. It traps the heat while staying breathable, eliminating the risk of suffocation in a closed space. The ring beam structure turns individual logs into one unit, effectively putting a wooden reinforcement ring around the pit. This is a core technique from ancient bunkers and civil defense engineering, perfectly recreated by hand. Surviving underground means solving the heat problem, but an open fire is a death trap. In a confined space, carbon monoxide can knock you unconscious in just 3 minutes. He carves a clay radiant stove right into the wall, the safest way to stay warm below ground. Packed clay has a natural cohesion that forms a stable arch, so it won't collapse even without support. He digs a vertical chimney through the wall to the surface, creating a full heat circulation system. The flames don't touch the wood. They heat the clay walls, which radiate warmth throughout the room. It's like a mini underfloor heating system, gentle and steady, without burning the wood or releasing toxic gases. He embeds logs into the wall to create an elevated thermal buffer platform. It's like adding an insulating layer to his bed to block dampness and keep his body heat from escaping at night. He builds shelves out of short logs, using natural fiber ropes to cinch them tight. With every turn of the rope, the logs are squeezed tighter, no nails or glue, but strong as a rock. Building the roof is a test of both strength and stealth, and it's the most dangerous part. Since he's covering the roof with soil for camouflage, it has to support the full weight of the dirt and plants. He builds rib beams for the sod roof. The main beams act like a rib cage, holding up the entire structure. This is a 1,000-year-old technique from Nordic sod houses, no nails, yet it holds up a whole roof of earth. The coolest part of the whole build is hidden at the entrance, a hollow log tunnel. This dead log weighs over 100 pounds. There's no way to move it by hand, and trying would be dangerous. Instead of using brute force, he builds an A-frame and a Spanish windlass system. 2 logs are driven into the ground to create a stable frame that transfers the weight downward. The rope is wrapped around the trunk and twisted into a Spanish windlass, using leverage to multiply his strength. It's like using a bottle opener, minimal effort to move a massive log. This isn't just physical labor. It's a perfect real-world application of statics and rotational mechanics. He clears out the rotted core of the log, keeping only the hard inner bark to create a hidden tunnel. From above, it looks like a regular piece of dead wood. No one would ever guess it leads to a secret entrance. The final camouflage is the finishing touch on his disappearance act. He uses a 3-layer biomimetic soil covering technique to blend the structure into the jungle. The first layer is rotting wood debris to recreate the soft texture of the forest floor. The second layer is wild bark. The overlapping pattern breaks up any human shapes and matches the jungle colors perfectly. The third layer is the original soil, dead leaves and fresh moss, erasing every last trace of construction. The entrance cover is designed as a camouflaged airlock. It can hold weight, open easily, and block out the cold wind. It's essentially a primitive insulated airtight door, completely cutting the underground space off from the outside world. The moment it's finished, the shelter disappears from the world. Even if someone walked right over the roof, they'd never know a living soul was hidden beneath them. The ancient survival instinct for shelter, hard-coded into our genes, is fully awake. From the caves of our ancestors to childhood's secret forts, we've always craved a safe, enclosed space. This build isn't about running from reality, it's about self-rescue and starting over. He uses ancient skills like mortise and tenon joints, ring beam supports, and leverage to protect his survival. He uses dirt, moss, and logs to build the safest home possible. Compared to modern architecture, where we want things open and grand, we end up exposing ourselves completely. But Slavic bunkers, Nordic sod houses, and Australian dugouts all teach us how to hide and survive. He didn't invent anything new. He just brought back thousands of years of survival wisdom. He vanished from the surface, but underground, he found his true self.